please,
normal.
Kusei.
Could use a stand to get a little closer, though.
Streaming.
Recording. Yes.
Test, test, test.
Wow. Hello, everyone. Good morning or afternoon, as the case may be. Yes, it's Thursday in America. Friday morning here. This is our new recording day, just a day later. Due 100% to me working Monday through Thursday now. So I was officially Monday through Wednesday, but now I'm working a day later, so 4 days a week. Ah, life. Yeah. And that's fine, because I actually love my job. But, yeah, that means we can't record on Thursday or Wednesdays. We have to record on Thursdays in the evening. So this week, we have one guest. We almost lost him, because Kusei had an internet outage after some power outages. But he is here, and all is well.
I hate my damn internet service provider. God, if I could find somebody else, it would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. You've got a big choice of one, don't you?
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Nothing
They
like
like to
competition
they like
in
to play the
market.
monopoly here, where you don't get a lot of choices, but one provider.
Yep.
All right, so you are recording, Mr. Kusei?
Yes, I am recording.
All right, I'm going to just check mine. Test. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Sounds good. Yep. Volume level's good. All right. Anything I want to talk about before we go, or shall we just go?
Go.
I think we can go.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that could use a good kiss. This is episode 271, being recorded on Thursday, July 28th, 2016. I'm your host, Jill, with our producer and co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey guys, are you sure we haven't used that one?
I double and triple checked. Unbelievably, that one was still available.
Oh, cool. All right.
If I made a mistake, well, you know.
Yeah.
And we do have a guest today, and Kusei is back with us after some hiatus. How you been, Kusei? What you been up to?
Been great. Of course, like you said, I took a hiatus. Tried other games. I really just tried one. I've been playing BDO for a little bit. Been out of the MMO game for about a month and a half, but just due to a lot of life things. Got a new job. We went on a bunch of vacation. I had people visit. So the kid's driving, so I got to teach him how to drive. And he just got his official license and everything. And he's going to his girlfriend's house and all that stuff, teenagers are doing. But I have gotten back into the game. I kind of miss the community. BDO is such a great game, but I do miss the SWTOR community. More so than SWTOR itself, but it drives me to want to play SWTOR a little bit more, just because that's where all comfortable friends are at and stuff.
Right.
So what I've been doing since I've been out of the game so much, I'm kind of just slowly getting back into it. Even just driving my tune around is what I call it. Moving the movement around is completely different. It just throws me off. My camera's moving so fast. I don't know what keys I'm using and everything else. It's kind of crazy coming back from BDO. I still go back over there once in a while just to check things out, but what I've been doing lately is actually playing the GTN. Since I was on hiatus for a long time, I had a lot of Cartel Pack items.
Uh-huh.
Man.
They're rare.
Now they're rare. I have the probe droid companion, and it's constantly on the market for $63 million. So if I can just sell that Joker, I'd be in the money. But between all the other stuff that I had, I've actually made 12.5 mil in the past couple of weeks, so I'm doing pretty good. I haven't subbed yet again, but as soon as Chapter 16 drops, I'll probably sub, and my money go towards some of this next quarter's money, which, I would like to see how that's going to play out with all the people subbing to Chapter 16, how that's going to add to this quarter's EA's, quarterly earnings. What I've also been doing is armor sets, because they went to this complete armor set kit, and with all the chance cubes and everything else, I'll just click on the armor tab, and then I'll just type in set, and I'll see what sets are running for cheap, and then I'll open up my collections window, and I'll just type in a quick short name to try to search for it to see if I actually have it open in collections. And I'm doing it all on one tune, and if I don't have it available, then I'll go ahead and buy it for cheap. I'll open up everything, put it on, and just delete it all. That way I have it, open up in my collections for later on. And a lot of catching up with the community. I've been catching up with all the podcasts with you guys. I didn't stop listening to you guys for the longest time, and then, of course, with all the visiting and vacation and stuff, I kind of dropped off for a little while. But I listened to you guys all the way down to the beach, which was a good time. Like I said in the previous shows, you guys kept me company for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And I actually listened back to show 1, and Tio probably doesn't want me to tell everybody this, but if you listen to show 1, it's great. It really is, especially with Hip. On episode 1, Hip is already complaining about day-night cycles. It was pretty funny. Yeah, it's been good. And the best news is that we're actually going to Star Wars Celebration this year, next year in Orlando,
Awesome.
which is the first time. I could not go this time because it's relatively to all the other places before that they've had it. This is the closest that it's been. So if I don't go now, then I'm probably not going to go.
Right.
So I haven't gotten the tickets yet. I was going to get them tonight. Stupid internet went down, but I'll be buying tickets for Saturday for my wife, my son, and myself. And I think my in-laws might even come that live in Florida.
Cool.
We just had to coordinate with them first, but yeah, life and everything else has been great. Community's good. I'm glad to be back somewhat. Signed up to the Utini guilds, Dekion and Fiona and Dread, and everybody else has been doing a great job. Yeah.
Yep, they've been doing awesome. All right, excellent. And Tio, how about your week?
Well, in case you're curious, BDO, which Kuze has been mentioning, is Black Desert Online. I never played it myself, but I have heard amazing things, mainly from Kuze. So
the one thing, and I had mentioned in the tip, and I don't want to interrupt, but their chat filter is amazing. I really wish SWTOR would incorporate some of their philosophy, not to say philosophy, but their modifications that they have or whatever in game. I can type in my own keywords that will filter out complete chat messages. So I can put in .com or www or a certain site,
right?
And
or gold.
You'll never see it. You'll never see it ever again. It's amazing. That one thing is probably the best thing about that game. It's great.
Nice.
All right. So I actually didn't manage to play again. This is a little sad for the last 2 weeks. This time I was away for a long weekend. Left Friday morning, came back Monday afternoon to Hamilton Island, which is in our Great Barrier Reef here in Australia. And stunning, as most of the Barrier Reef islands tend to be. Just beautiful, extraordinarily expensive. But
oh, really?
very, well, they just are. It's how it is.
Right.
But yeah, we had a fantastic time.
Yeah, and you had like wild, was it cockatoos on your flying in?
Yes.
That's amazing.
We were warned not to leave the doors open, and unfortunately we did anyway, and one of the cockatoos, which are rather large birds, maybe a foot tall or so, just sort of standing.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, it actually came in right into the room and picked out a couple of bags of nuts, which we then had to pay for, and flew off with them. Yes. Like some birds, extremely intelligent.
Yes.
Far too intelligent, yes.
No respect for the minibar.
None.
I mean, that's what you get for just leaving your nuts hang out there. They get stolen.
Indeed. So yeah, no, it was great, but along with that and work and other things, again, not much time to play. Maybe this weekend, but then I'm flying to Adelaide again early next week. So
wow,
it's
Yeah.
crazy. Yes,
And that trip was in conjunction with Ari's birthday, as I recall.
It was indeed a major milestone, which we celebrated on the Sunday, and it was a very good time. So yeah.
Major.
Haven't been so relaxed in a long time. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's for what that's worth. That's my week. Over to you, Chill.
All right. We'll start off with a shout out to the chat room. Anog is here. Bill646. Blay is here. Bo Daddy. Count Luku. Dekion. Diggity82. Drunken Darkside Podcast. Elion D2. Fiona. Gahana. Gator Skull. 1289. Hickster. Hupra. Mac Mayburger. Mix Up Pixels is here. A.K.A. Alex. From the Geek Podcast. Merlin Kuze is here as Ro Kuze. Stavis, Thoromus, Tommy McD28, Togekin, Wicked, Rotten, Zamzam, Izarna, and X-King5V are all here. Hello, everyone. Wow. All right. Quite a few people here already. Excellent. I got Chill Santa up to level 50. Hooray! So that was lots of fun. Got to switch over to a character who's even more fun, which was the dark side character, Chill Satan. So I went with the whole anagrammatical thing from Santa to Satan.
You should have named him Krampus. That would be great.
I got him through, actually, Balmora last night. I had Drummond Cost, and then I actually got him through Balmora last night. Have a few screenshots in the show notes, and of course he's a red Zabrak, and he has this wicked-looking sort of runic scar in the middle of his forehead. It's all, very Satan-y. And in the last stream, I finally got an outfit that looks good for him. You can see it's the red and black one there with the real pokey shoulder pads, and as it turns out, it also gives him priapism. So as you can see in the last screenshot there, it's interacting with absolutely nothing. It's just sticking out for no apparent reason. But yeah, so what's scarier than Satan? Satan coming at you with a boner. So, so that's going to be lots of fun, and I am I am laughing so hard doing this particular stream for this character. So I'm really enjoying that.
Well, at least you got a kickstand if you want to take a break.
Exactly. So. And let's see. Oh, I ran into a listener, Arlgzl. I don't know how you pronounce it because there's not enough vowels there. Who waved and whispered some nice things back on Drummond Cost. That was very cool. So nice to meet you. It was a nice thing to have happen. And yeah, so I can't wait to do. It'll be Nar next. Of course, that's Satan's playground. So I'll be really enjoying that. And yeah, I'm just having a ball. So that'll bring us to the tip of the week, and we've got 3 tips this week. And I'll go ahead and read the first one, Tio. From Sukai, checking, and then it's SWTOR Wiki on Reddit, upcoming events. Seems there's only 1 week for the Rat Ghouls between now and October. Not sure if I'll finish, if the event will finish before a second week. I would suggest people do the 5 infected people this week, or the first time Rat Ghoul drops.
There's no real way to tell when events are coming, particularly the Rat Ghoul event. Certainly SWTOR themselves never tell us, but of course with data mining you can sort of potentially get an indication of when the events are going to turn up, but I would actually suspect that it'll probably be back every month. And also I suspect the DVL event will run all the way through probably to early December, at a wild guess. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried, but if you are at all concerned about getting that particular achievement towards DVL, well, why not, if you have a character of the appropriate level to actually do it. And remember, it must be a DVL character, one that was created since the event began. Alright, our next tip is from Pyrochenko of the Shock and Jawa Guild on the Harbinger, and that is an awesome name for a guild. My tip involves getting through the achievements for force alignment related to the DVL event. Once you've gotten a character through your capital planet, you could have access to 4 or 5 companions. Your starter companion, your ship droid, HK-51, you'll need him anyway for one of the other achievements, and probably Treek, maybe even Nico Okar. Use the artifact level 5 companion gifts to get 3 of them to influence rank 20. Anyone besides your starter companion is a safe bet, since the ones I mentioned are, spoilers, unlikely to be killed off in the Kotvi content. And none of them have any input in any of the base class stories, which is all true. You'll need 47 of the artifact rank 5 gifts per companion. If you have the legacy perk with 30% extra influence, minus any influence you gained in conversation, starting them off on diplomacy missions for your desired alignment once you are above level 25, when you can send 3 companions off. This works out because you will usually have, at most, 3 dark and 3 light diplomacy missions that award critical experience at any given time.
That makes sense.
If you also have Nico, you can put him for a 4th, when you're a high level for that 4th mission that awards alignment points but no XP. You'll need about 500,000 credits for running enough missions to get you to tier 5 for your chosen alignment. It's easy enough to send off 3 companions during flashpoints or PvP, much more than that can slow you down. Like Blaze said in last week's episode, once you get to 550 diplomacy, you can focus on abundant and moderate as potentially the most cost effective. This way, you can level to your chosen alignment without significantly altering your choices in your story. You don't have to stay at the alignment, just reach it once. You can spend the rest of your gameplay undoing your alignment if you like. Thus, if you are working to contribute to getting either companion in the event, you don't have to alter these choices just to achieve your alignment achievement. As you can imagine, this becomes expensive, but it's clear a secondary goal of this event was a credit sink. Yes, yes it was. I'm sure this isn't terribly insightful, but sometimes just knowing credit figures, numbers of gifts, etc. can be helpful. I hope this helps anyone like myself who was wondering how they would reach Dark 5 easily and still make light side choices during their story. Excellent, excellent advice. Nice strategy.
All right. Third tip is from Ryan. Ryan writes, quick DVL tip. Earn 50 dark or light side points each day by speaking to Harlow Ricks in the cantina on Rishi.
There you go. Very nice.
Very nice. Straight and to the point. By random allotment, the winner is Pyrochenko. Congratulations, Pyrochenko. You're the winner of a Tonfon or M83R droid pet code, courtesy of BioWare, and a new OotiniCast provided cartel market pack from the latest shipment. And if you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com by next Tuesday. And that will bring us to the Holo feed. Teal?
Alright, let's start with the Dark versus Light DVL event. Firstly, they have updated the needle, which is pointing either light side or dark side, depending on the cumulative choices of the entire player population of actually DVL characters only. Their choices matter, not everyone else's, apparently. And currently, it's 51.6% light, 48.4% dark. So the needle is actually shifting towards the light side. So at least temporarily, the dark side got a slight edge, but the forces of light, of goodness, have pushed it back. We'll see if they manage to sustain that.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah, my first guess when all of this started, I was thinking that dark was gonna, be ahead by a lot, and it seems to have gone down. I wonder, with the community drawdown, I don't want to say community drawdown, but player base shift to story and everything else. People who love story, I don't want to necessarily say they're always drawn towards the light, but I'm thinking maybe a different mindset of people who like story are more light versus the people who were in the game before that were end game and PvP driven and everything else might have been more dark. I'm wondering the personality difference. Maybe the new survey will answer all those questions.
indeed. And we'll talk more about Daniel's survey, which is coming to a very satisfactory conclusion for him later. Alright, now the SWOTOR Twitter account put up a poll. Which DVL hero do you want on your squad? The Chiss Jedi, Master Ranos, or the Zabrak Sith, Dark Hexed? Now these are the two companions that are in some kind of strange quantum state, where at least at the moment they both exist, but at the end of the event the probability wave will collapse and we will get either one of them and the other one will cease to exist. So
Right.
the current
Schrodinger's companion. So
Indeed. They had just over 2,000 people voting, and at the moment 55% of people want Master Ranos, the light side companion.
I guess because Chiss is not, really available for companions, but there's a few Zabraks. So
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
that's
So do you
probably
think the
more it
companion
than anything else.
The companion design and look is driving the poll, or driving the light versus dark event?
could be. I think they also. Before this all started, they did say, hey, over the last 6 months, light side is like 55%. So it's possible that that's just sort of a natural tendency as well.
Back
But-
to what I said originally, I guess.
Yeah, but I think the fact that there's has not been a Chiss companion before is probably a small factor.
It seems. If I was
Seems
doing
likely.
it, that's probably what I would be drawn to as well.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, now a few other things for DVL. Firstly, if you're trying to get the achievement of getting all the tacticals done, one of them, which can be soloed of course, is Depths of Banan, and is currently bugged. You will not get you will not get the achievement for completing it if the final boss dies in the fire. That is,
Right.
unless a player causes the damage that puts him to 0 hit points, you won't get the achievement. And if you're in a group, apparently it's even worse, because only one player will actually get the achievement. It's because the achievement for the DVL event for the tactical is killing the final boss, not completing the tactical, which is a little unfortunate.
So do you think this was always in the game and they just didn't realize it or care about it until the DVL event happened? Because this is the same thing with the, what's the newest Flashpoint? The one that just came with the latest expansion, Star Fortress. The Star Fortresses. The boss in there is the same way. They have like a radiation. If one of the windows are broken and the boss gets into that window where the radiation happens, it'll kill the boss, and it doesn't give you credit for killing the boss. So it seems to me this is the same exact type of bug, but I'm just wondering how long it's actually been in the game, and it's just only now brought up because of the Dark versus Light event.
Possibly. Apparently, well, anyway, they're working on it, so hopefully they will get this fixed, and it won't be fixed retrospectively either. I'm almost certain. So
Almost certain.
Complete
All
the,
right.
I don't think so either.
yeah, you'll have to go back and do it again. So yeah, maybe just skip that until we hear that it's fixed, or just try if you solo it and just save a really big hit for when he's almost dead and just take him down, and you will get the achievement. It's just finicky and a bit random which kills him, the environment or him. Actually, if you take him out of the fire and just burn him down outside of the fire when he's almost dead, would probably be a pretty solid strategy for getting that done.
I put a ticket in for the Star Fortress one for not getting the achievement, and nothing came about that either. I had to go back and do it myself in order to get that to pop.
Right.
Yeah, when I've followed up on things like that before, it's usually they usually say that their hands are tied and they can't.
With minor stuff like that, I mean, I could
stuff.
care less. It's just a small thing. I can run back through and do it again. I'd rather them put their time somewhere else. But
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's our time as well, and when it's affecting potentially thousands and thousands of players. Yeah, but some bugs are just painful, and this one is, well, one of them. Of course, the achievements, if they were tied to completion of the tactical, that would have made a hell of a lot more sense, and would have been a lot cleaner. But, oh well.
look, so is still bugged, so I don't know what you can expect.
Now, there are also 4 missing achievements from what they stated would be required for the Legendary tier. Now, those achievements do exist as DVL achievements, they're just not prerequisites for achieving Legendary. So the official word is, and that includes the hard mode Flashpoint achievement, which requires you to do all of the hard modes in the game, all 23-ish of them. And they say in Game Update 4.7, which is the one that will be arriving on August 9th with Chapter 16, they will be adding the hard mode Flashpoint achievement to the Legendary achievement, and they're still working through the other 3 achievements that are missing, and they're planning to address those in 4.7.1. And they're working through how this will impact anyone who has completed Tier 4 at that point. So there will be a window where you can actually get the Legendary without the other 3 achievements, whatever they actually are. But it looks like you won't be able to get away with missing out on the hard mode Flashpoint achievement, which is probably the most painful of the lot. Because remember, you can't get Legendary without, at some point, completing Knights of the Fallen Empire. You can only do that by completing Chapter 16, and you can only do that once 4.7 comes out. So that part will be fixed, but there are those 3 achievements that are currently, well, there is that window where you can get to Legendary without those 3. Somehow I don't think they'll just retrospectively take Legendary off you and then require you to go and do them. So, well, we'll see what happens with that. Now, we already talked about the Rakul Plague. Currently has broken out on Corellia, and it will be there for the usual week, completing next Tuesday, August 2nd. And we don't know what the events are going beyond that, except for the ones I outlined previously, but that didn't include Rakul. Alright, so that's DVL. Chill, what's your current progress? How...
Not really that far yet, because I'm still where I just switched over. But I'm really only going for the second to last tier. I'm not going for the last tier. There's just no way. It's not going to happen. I think I did get the second tier, but yeah, I did when I got to level 50 on Chill Santa. So that's where I am. There's still plenty to do. Mostly, like, I think the flashpoints will take a while. Getting Satan to 50 will take a while. Other than that, it won't be too bad.
What tier is the companion? Is it the third tier?
The second to last, the fifth tier.
The fifth tier.
Yeah, I was naively assuming that I'd be able to get the sixth done, the legendary, but now I'm thinking the fifth tier is probably all I can practically hope for. Though we do have several months remaining, so
yeah,
you never know.
I know I've been out of loop for a while, but to me, I know there was a lot of issues in the past, or when this DVL event came out with, quote unquote, veteran players and stuff. I think a good balance that they could have done was just did the classes, if they would have grandfathered in the classes or retrospect or added in, if you've done the class stories, given you that, and also crafting. I think those two things, if they would have just counted that, would have been probably plenty. I mean, to me, that seems like a fair balance between the people that have been playing for years, or not even necessarily years, but put time into the game. So it's not necessarily how long you've been here, but how much time you've put into the game. I think that would have been a fair balance. I'm kind of disappointed they didn't do that, to be honest.
Mechanically, it was probably simpler to do it this way, and they did make it clear that all of us existing long-term players and subscribers, we've already got our rewards. So this is all fresh and new. And
well, it's not just about veterans getting rewards. I think it's also about people having something to do until the new expansion comes out as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, heck yeah.
This is a very cheap time sink. So
yeah.
Yes, for BioWare. So can't blame them. And it is a really cool concept.
Yeah, it is. The different companions idea is really good. Yeah.
All right. Now,
do you think it's the same voice actor for both the companions? I think it's only one voice actor.
I don't know.
And depending on what happens, they'll use those lines that they recorded, light or dark.
Probably not, because usually, usually there's a fair bit of difference, and even in just like what they say for when they're going out on crew missions and stuff, And
yeah, but
I can't imagine they would sound the same.
They could have recorded a whole light side in the studio, and then they could have recorded a whole dark side, and depending on what wins is the stuff, the files that they will use.
Yeah, okay. I don't think that's going to change the companion, though, anyway.
No.
All right. So next, let's just talk about Chapter 16, the Battle of Odessen. What's the Battle for Odessen? The Battle of Odessen, coming August 11th, officially for everyone. That's a Thursday, but you will get early access on August 9th, Tuesday, August 9th, along with Game Update 4.7, if you were subscribed as of 1st of July. 1st of July for that. So remember, it was supposed to come out at the end of July, and it didn't because reasons, something about making it more awesome or something. Now, speaking of 1st of July, your subscriber reward should have turned up by now. It's the poster for your Galactic Stronghold, picture of HK 55 with, in Orabesh, victory protocols activated.
Right.
It's a kind of cool poster. I haven't actually put mine up yet. But
do you think they were inspired by Elon Musk and all his new Mars posters? Because it has that same feel of, the old-timey space posters and stuff like that. Yeah.
Aren't these based on like World War II era propaganda posters?
It does look like a World War II one. So it's probably all from the same. From the same.
But Elon,
fountain.
he just put out all those Mars posters and stuff like that not too long ago, and then this one popped up, so it seems like it's playing off of that as well.
Yeah, maybe so.
It's a cool poster still.
Now, they also put out a press release about the Battle of Odessen, and they pretty much spoiled the story all the way up to Chapter 15, so I'll probably, even though it's been out for a month, I won't read that. But it does give a quick summary of just what's happening. So anyway, let's just say it's on Odessen, and there will be a battle. And, of course, just a reminder that this is the concluding chapter for Knights of the Fallen Empire. That means no more story content until, well, aside from that very special HK55 chapter where you play as HK55 if you happen to be sub for a whole long time, basically all the way from way back through to now, so it's way too late to jump on that particular bandwagon.
Right.
So anyway, if you're like us, have done that, we'll be able to play through that whenever it comes out. But aside from that, you've got to wait for Knights of the Eternal Throne, which will come out this fall, which means anywhere between September 22nd and December 20th. So put your money towards the end of December and you probably will be bang on.
Right.
Now, there was also the teaser trailer, which I'm pretty sure they did play at the end of the last live stream.
Mm-hmm.
Though I couldn't actually put money on that. Anyway, it's quite short, has some, well, fairly non-spoilery scenes, and it's just kind of cool. Though the description of it, again, does kind of spoil what's happening. So again, you should probably avoid this kind of stuff if you haven't played all the way through to Chapter 15, but most of us have, so what
Right.
the hell. I just think if they put anything else in there. Anyway, so yeah. Now, speaking of Knights of the Eternal Throne, or Kotet, now we have got a little bit of extra information, sort of. Now, on the landing page, which is SWTOR.com/eternal-throne, it does say, choose your path to the Eternal Throne. Choose your path to the Eternal Throne. So, whatever the hell that means. But
That means that there's ultimately you end up on the Eternal Throne, no matter what
and
path
that
you
there
choose.
is, for some reason, you're struggling to get there, and someone's in your way. And this was, of course, all announced by James Olin on that panel at Star Wars Celebration in London that we talked about last week. And in the description it says, the all-new expansion adds more of BioWare's trademark cinematic storytelling, as well as exciting new game features in one of the largest updates the team has made since the game launched 5 years ago in 2011. So that's interesting. This is the first mention, because I don't recall anyone else saying anything about this, of exciting new game features. What are they playing at? Largest game update. Does a whole bunch more chapters. Is that sufficient to warrant largest game update in the 5 years of the game? I mean, the McCabe Rise of the Hutt Cartel update was pretty meaty, so bigger than that? Yeah, I don't know. So
I don't know.
It's quite intriguing. Yeah, anyway.
I think McKeb was the biggest one. I was muted. I had to unmute myself, so you can edit that out. I also left you present earlier on, so you'll have to edit that out. But yes, McKeb was the immediate patch, I do believe.
Yeah. And if you click on the Be the First to Know button on the landing page, by the way, that will take you through to your account on SWTOR.com and your personal preferences, where you can just click on the mail updates. So you can actually get emailed about it. That's all. It's not like a special mailing list or anything. It's just, if you're subscribed to email updates from SWTOR, you will be the first to know, along with all the rest of us who also subscribe.
Right.
And finally, there was...
I'm breaking this up. What's in the solo cup?
Oh, this is just diet soda today because it's nice and hot in the room here.
Okay. You could have answered something better, but that's fine. Yeah, you should.
Right. Breaking it up. All right, and finally on the Kotet thing, they also sent an email to anyone subscribed to those mail preferences, etc., about Kotet. Fight your way to the Eternal Throne this fall. So again, a bit of a suggestion of we're on the way to the Eternal Throne.
Exactly.
Whatever that means in the context of the game. So,
can I say I'm a story person, but I also like everything else in the game as well. I like alternative advancement, which is a good term that you guys had talked about on previous podcasts. That's my biggest thing. I didn't necessarily take a hiatus from the game because of Operations. Yes, Operations was the last straw because it kind of broke up our group and we were kind of getting bored and everything else. But ultimately, I mean, I like the Strongholds, which I was against in to begin with. I was like, why do people want Strongholds? And it actually turned out to be great. trying to collect all the decorations is fun for me. I like exploring, I like datacrons and everything else. So alternate advancement to me is a great part of the game, and it keeps people interested in everything else. But I do like the story. I am a story person as well. I think everybody deep down, no matter what you're doing, is probably somewhat of a story person. So that's why BioWare thinks it applies to everybody. It's not necessarily what keeps you around, but it is a part of the game, and it's a good part of the game. But one thing is the single path, and everybody, you keep saying your fight for the eternal throne, and no matter what class I'm playing, whether it be a commando, whether it be a Jedi or Sith or anything else, is all fighting to this one point. And to me, it just doesn't have that special feeling like it used to in the very beginning of the game. And I know it's a huge undertaking to develop 8 separate classes, but there was a uniqueness there that I think that's what I miss, is a uniqueness between each class. This one single point it's a good adventure, but I can't do it 8 separate times. I can do it once and it's great, but 8 separate times is something that,
right.
It's painstaking. And one thing that they did good with McKeb was there was a Republic side and a Empire side version of the story. So even though they kind of broke it down into 2 separate stories instead of one story, they went from 8 to 2 to now we're down to 1. I would like to see, honestly, a release of content each month for each story. Now, they said they can't do, separate stories because it would take too long, but what if they did a story for each class each month? You might have to wait a while for your class to come around, but everybody plays multiple classes, evidently, because of, all the stuff that they're... and, a lot of people have alts and stuff like that, so you're already playing it multiple times anyway, so I think it would be great if they released a chapter, one month is Trooper, the next month is Sith Warrior, and so on until all the classes are taken care of, and you come back around to a full thing, and then they do it again. And then new players that come into the game will have so much content, they'll be overwhelmed. They're probably overwhelmed now, but new players. But in the future, God, it would just be so much content, it would be crazy.
Mm. That's true.
That's my rant.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we'll find out more about Kotet in the weeks and months to come. It's actually a bit of a news drought at the moment. They've gone all quiet. Now, I did want to mention in passing that when I was watching some of the coverage for Star Wars Celebration, I saw Blaine Chris Stein appearing on a video talking about... Well, he was representing Sphero, the company who makes the BB-8 toy. And I recognise the name because Blaine Chris Stein was a producer on SWOTOR for many years, actually.
A long time.
I hadn't actually realised he'd left, but he did appear on quite a few of those videos about the cartel market early on. So, yeah, I hadn't realised he was gone. Apparently he left about a year ago and has ended up at Sphero. So, good for him for, well, finding his feet, obviously, after leaving BioWare.
Yep.
But yeah, it's quite a surprise. Like, wait, I know that guy. And not in the context of BB-8. Anyway. Now, just outside SWOTOR, just a little bit of news. I did want to talk briefly about the 6 movies planned through to 2020 that Disney have in line for Star Wars. Obviously, we've already had The Force Awakens. This year, on December 16th, is Rogue One, which we heard a lot more about, and Blay was telling us, based on what he saw at Star Wars Celebration, that should be a really good movie. And I think I commented, it feels completely different to any other Star Wars movie we've had before, and that's a good thing, because variety is the spice of life, and hopefully these alternate stories are just different. More of the same is boring.
They're not held to the same restraints as the the direct path of the story.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
However, we will have episode 8 on December 15th, a year later after that, in 2017. Then 2018, only 5 months later, on May the 25th, we will get the second of the Star Wars stories, which is telling the origin story, if you like, of Han Solo. Or at least we think it does. We're not really sure what the story there is, but they have recently announced the actor. Actually was at Star Wars Celebration, Alden Ehrenreich.
Right.
So whether that's a good choice or not, that's, well, who knows?
Well, We definitely don't know. We definitely know it's not future stories of Han Solo.
Clearly.
And he was born in 1989. He's 26 years old. So, I mean, I don't think they would, hire an actor just to age him a bunch. So I assume that means it is going to be young Han Solo story. So
We'll see if they borrow it all from the EU novels, various origin stories for Han Solo, which are some of their best books. But
it is.
It would be nice.
You read them recently, I remember.
Yes, I really enjoyed them too. They were excellent. Both that original, really old trilogy and the more recent trilogy were also really good. Alright, 2 more movies. Just in 2019, we've got episode 9, which should conclude this trilogy, but I'll bet it won't be the last of the mainline story. I think that'll just go on and on and on. And finally, 2020, the 3rd Star Wars story will be about Boba Fett.
Very cool.
Yeah, that will be really interesting.
So can I ask, Tia, which story or movie are you more excited for out of the list?
It would be the mainline stories, so episode 8
Really?
and episode 9. Yeah, I mean the diversion ones are nice and will be interesting to see, and I'm sure I'll enjoy them, but I'm core Star Wars all the way. And I really want to know where they're going with the whole Luke and Rey and etc.
Chill?
Yeah.
Yeah, same for me with the main stories. But if you're just talking about the side stories, then probably Han Solo.
For some reason, I'm drawn towards Boba Fett. Like, that just seems awesome to me. I don't know why. I think Boba Fett would be a great story. I am excited for Rogue One, and I think Han Solo would be great. But for some reason, I'm just drawn to Boba Fett, and movie-wise.
Yeah, Rogue One's going to be fun. Just the whole... It will be a different kind of story. It does look a little grittier and all that, but also it's just kind of a different way of going about it, because it's, how do they get the Death Star plans?
Yeah.
So
it's going to take the space magic out of it, don't you think? Or do you think it'll be in there? So it might appeal to more people because the Force aspect may or may not be there. I mean, I don't know.
Right. I don't think it'll be as much there, but Darth Vader is starting to show up on some of the posters and stuff, so he may, he may make an appearance.
Yeah.
So.
It's not really that essential, really. As long as it's in the Star Wars universe, it should be enough. Alright, now Brian, that's Bo Daddy, our guildmate, asks, so what story do you think they will do with the Han Solo movie? The most obvious thing is the origin story, like, who was Han Solo? How did he meet Chewie?
How did he meet Chewie, and why is there a life debt? Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
No, that's exactly what I was thinking. Where did the Falcon come from? It would be a good one.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Yeah, the bet that happened.
I mean, we know that he altered it and everything, but we know that there was a gambling involved and all that. So with Lando, of course, it'd be great to see Lando too. So I'm trusting we're going to see Lando. So
I want to see the shadier sides of Star Wars. The stripper clubs and drinking and everything else. Because Han Solo's got to be involved with all that. He's just a player. So if they pull that out, that'd be great.
Well, remember, Star Wars is a Disney property now.
I'm just
but
yeah,
Twi'lek dancers,
Twi'lek dancers.
And given what they've done with the Marvel franchise, no reason it can't be dark.
Speaking of Twi'lek dancers, I was looking on my global unlocks or whatever that you have, and Twi'lek race is the only one that I don't have unlocked.
That's outrageous.
So I guess if I do my next alt or whenever I do,
as a DVL character,
do your DVL character and get it done easy.
No, you guys are hoping for too much. Whenever next
or
chapter,
spend the cartel coins.
True.
Easy enough to do it that way too.
All right, something else I wanted to mention. A while ago, Peter Mayhew, who is, speaking of Chewie, the actor who continues to play Chewbacca, even though he's getting a bit old now. Jeez, he's tall. Anyway, he tweeted out some pages from the original Star Wars script. That is what eventually became called Episode 4, where, and this is not the script they eventually used because it was obviously changed, it turns out that Obi-Wan Kenobi actually survived the fight with Vader and actually got away with them on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
How about that in the original story? I thought it was just a bit cool Star Wars trivia.
It's very cool. Yeah.
He may have actually died off anyway, because it looks like he did get injured. But wow,
He's done he's tweeted out a fair number of these, and it's usually pretty interesting. I don't know if he's trying to avoid trouble or something, but he usually, or if it's just an ego thing, but he tends to tweet out the pages that involve Chewbacca.
wow, can't blame him. It's also possible he only got those pages of the script. They may not have given him the complete thing. But
Possible.
in those days, probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
All right, let's talk community news. Firstly, on Reddit, the SWTOR subreddit, from Druasaur. He posted, and he said, "My wrist is killing me after doing this one, but I managed to compile all the SWTOR codexes." And kudos to Jedipedia, which ended up being the fourth site he used. You can get them as a PDF, a AZW3, which I don't know what that is, or EPUB format, which is pretty much the standard for ebooks.
Oh,
or you can read them straight on his site. And he did point out that he didn't include all the subsections. He excluded the title, where it's only one sentence, and tutorials, basically anything that wasn't lore-related. So anyway, they're all there in one place. I've certainly loaded them into my ebook,
Nice.
so you can just read them all the way through. So in a
Slick.
very, very convenient format, as in they're all in one place, and you just read them straight through.
Yeah.
So nice work, mate. I will link to those, of course. Now, Fibro Jedi, a long-running friend of the show, wrote an open letter to BioWare from a chronic pain gamer. So, I don't think we'll read the whole thing, but I would recommend you reading it, because by chronic pain he means he suffers from fibromyalgia, which is a very, very, very nasty condition.
Yes.
Genetic, I believe, and yeah, you can obviously live with it, but
Right.
it's
certainly chronic. It's not something you can get rid of. It's nasty.
It's pretty miserable, and gaming is one way, at least in his case, that he is able to deal with it. And he has a fairly reasonable complaint about the style of the Kotfi chapters. They're intense, and he can't always play them if his pain is really high. So he says, often I want to play a character, but not a chapter. And so he's someone who actually just wants to be in the world and play the game without being forced to be the on-rails drag through the story that we get with the Kotfi style of story playing.
Right.
Obviously, I don't have a problem, but I actually 100% agree with him in terms of that style of play.
And I think the exact same thing in that point that you were driving home. It's not necessarily the story, it's the way that they implemented the story. If it was open world and I was able to explore, because again, that's one thing that I like to do. I'm one of those people who like to open up all the maps. I'm the person that tries to get on the tallest peak or building in the game just to see if I can do it, I mean, that's where I want to spend my time. It's not demanding. I can come home and relax and I'm just messing around and everything else, but with the storyline it just seems like you said before, I can just hit play, watch it, and then if it's, I don't want to say if it's bugged, but sometimes it's bugged or whatever else, but not just necessarily that, but you hit stop or you can't finish it.
Yep.
It depends on what point you are in the chapter. You have to go back and do a lot of stuff all over again, so that's kind of disheartening sometimes. And I do think that the original open world feel to the storyline was excellent. And I know that they said in the Star Wars Celebration they've learned some things.
Yes.
And hopefully that is, they can continue on the story. I would love faction-specific stories. That would be great, even if it was 2 different stories, to open it up, because I don't like this working together thing, If I'm on the Sith side, I want to hate the Republic side. If I'm on the Republic side, I want to hate the Sith side. There has to be that disparity between the two. But yeah, hopefully that's one of the things that they learned, and they'll do that in Kotet. It would be great.
Don't know. The leadership of the team hasn't really changed, and they're in love with this cinematic style of storytelling. It's like frustrated people who'd rather be making a TV series, but instead they're making a game. So let's make the game into a TV series. And it's just a terrible way to deliver a story.
Yes.
Not being I've made no secret about how I feel about this. I think it's just a mistake to go this route.
Well, everybody wants to be the hero, but again, you want adventure involved in that, and you want to be the person who's, they say choices matter and everything else, but if I'm guided always to the same point, even though that even in the past stories were guided to the same point, at least I can go off and do something else. The planetary quests, I can choose to be dark side on that or whatever else and not finish it, whatever. But there just seem to be more options in the past than there is now. It's kind of just straight on. You can't go off the rails. It's just dead on.
Yeah.
I love story. It's great. Give me some exploration, and I'll be back.
We want to be in the Star Wars world.
Yeah.
Participating in the story, not
I want to see
only
people. That's what I want to see, I guess.
Right.
That's true.
alone together.
Alone together.
All right. Anyway, I will link to Fibro Jed's post, and I would recommend maybe even retweeting it or distributing it on to your friends, because it's a message Bioware really should get. As he says, please consider the diverse needs of your gamers and allow us to control our own destiny, rather than the droids of Bioware trying to control it for us. Then we can continue enjoying SWTOR, doing what we want to do at our own pace, which certainly would satisfy me as well. So nice work, mate. Finally, community, Daniel, our good friend Daniel, that's Infinite Outcome with a 0 on Twitter. He says he has succeeded in his goal in terms of getting enough people to do his survey for his research, so that's fantastic. More people are coming in every day. And, however, there were a bunch of people who did the first part of the survey, which Daniel designed, but then didn't do the personality quiz. And the personality quiz, the Myers-Briggs evaluation, is essential. So apparently he has sent out emails to the people who did the first part but didn't complete the second, kindly requesting that they also do the personality test so that their survey results can actually be incorporated into his research. So he will send you a personal email about that, and please, it doesn't take long. It's only about 10 minutes to do the Myers-Briggs part.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting, so... I would agree. It definitely helps, and the more information for him, the better. And unfortunately, just the type of study that he's doing, he can't just aggregate the information on the survey. He needs both sides. Yeah. So.
And Bill 646 asks when's the deadline, and he's hoping for beginning of August. So say
August 1st is what he was saying.
Yeah, just a few days. So.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say this. I absolutely hate surveys. I hate giving information. I hate taking multiple choice questions. I'm just one of those people that are like, you can win $1 million only if you just fill out this survey or whatever. I'm like, go shove it up somewhere else on the dark side of the moon. But I decided that, if I'm going to come back and I'm going to say that I'm all for the community and everything else, I separated Star Wars, or SWTOR rather, from his... question or his need, and I was like, okay, this is for him. It's not necessarily for SWTOR. Yes, SWTOR is part of it, and we will get some interesting data back from that. But if I can help somebody out, I'm going to take. I took the time and did it, and it took a lot for me. I came home one day, I sat down, and I ran through it. And I tell you what, the second portion of it, originally when I heard it was like 90-some questions. I was like, holy crap, I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous. But somebody else said, oh, it only takes a few minutes. And I went in there and got on there, and it really is. They want you to answer the question within 5 seconds. And it's only a 2-answer question, so A or B. What do you think about this? A or B. What do you think about this? A or B. What do you think about this? A or B. And it was super quick. And just to help somebody else out in the community it should be nothing of your time to just go ahead and do it. I went ahead and did it, and I've been trying to advocate it as much as I can on Twitter. Not that I have any pull, but, I'm going to do what I can to try to help somebody out. And for a PhD, it's a great thing. I would love to try to do a PhD that revolves around something around SWTOR or, gaming. That would be amazing. So
indeed.
I think it's pretty cool. If somebody can call me doctor because I did my papers on something about MMOs, I'd be like,
cool
great, doctor.
Yes, you should listen to the Tolkien professor at some point. He's made his entire career around teaching people about Tolkien's works, like Lord of the Rings. Anyway, I will link, of course, as I have been, to Daniel's survey, or you can follow him directly on Twitter, Infinite Outcome, a 0 instead of the O in outcome. And that's the news.
All right, that will bring us to the Academy, and this week on the Academy, Teresa tells us about customizing your character's appearance and how to unlock more races and appearance options. Thank you, Teresa. That will bring us to the Force Feedback review, your tweets and emails. And we'll start with Brian of the Bad Feeling Podcast. Here's a reminder of the fallout from the delayed Shadow of Revan announcement.
All right, so he just linked us to a thread on the official forums where they announced the delay to the announcement. So the way this actually went down, and I went to StarWars.wikia.com, the Star Wars wiki for this. And so just so you get the timeline clear in your head, Shadow of Revan was first announced on 3rd of Feb 2014 in the producer's roadmap as the unnamed digital expansion on par with the earlier Rise of the Hutt Cartel. And it was later hinted at during the promotion for Forged Alliances, which was stated to tie in with the upcoming expansion, which it did indeed. And then they published a short teaser entitled A Deadly Force Returns on September 16th, which featured Revan. And the full announcement was expected at the end of September after a brief trailer entitled Revan Returns, which was released on September 16th. That's all confused. But was delayed until October 6th. That was the delay. So they said they would give us news at the end of September, and then it was delayed. And the posts that Brian linked us to were them apologising on the 30th of September and saying, yeah, we kind of need a couple of extra weeks. And the reason that Bruce McLean originally gave was, we are holding the announcement back a bit to add something really nice for subscribers, and we'll be revealing all shortly. A couple of weeks at the latest. And the delay of announcement has no effect on the expansion schedule, and they're sticking to our commitment of launching it this year. And it is worth noting that they did indeed, because it actually came out on early access 2nd of December for everyone on 9th of September. So they didn't wait until the end of the year, they did get it out in early December. But anyway, remember this, the whole context of this, we talked about it last week, was there was some massive delay, and that the internet exploded over, and that's why they will never, ever, ever tell us anything unless it's 100% concrete.
Right.
That's not a good thing, to put it kindly. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got their... I don't know who's running the show, and I don't know who has put out the guidelines or the SOP who says... Standard Operating Procedures, who says you can't say anything unless it's definite. I think that's a horrible idea. Yes, we don't want to hear things about story. They put something on Twitter that said something about how do you plan on preparing for Kotet? Well, we don't know anything about Kotet, so how can I plan to do anything for Kotet? I mean, so it seems like half of BioWare wants you to plan for and be excited for it, and then the other half's like, no, you can't say anything about it. So it leaves players in the position to speculate and then draw on all this craziness instead of just giving some information. Anything would be nice. Hey, we plan on updating the crafting system, or they could give us something minute and so general, but still say something meaningful. If you know what I mean. So you can say, Kotet's coming, we can't say a lot, but we do have a lot in plans of, they've specifically said something about group content before. Mm-hmm. That's great. You can say group content so you understand that, in the future that I might be able to do something with friends. But they can also say something about the other parts of the game. Hey, we plan on updating or necessarily, we have plans for this or that. And you don't have to give dates. I think it was a while back. Their communication... I don't blame Musco because I don't know their constraints and everything else that they have at BioWare. But Musco put out something like, sorry, we can't fix this one problem until patch 4 point whatever. You don't say that. You don't say, we can't fix this until patch 4 point whatever. A good community person, whoever else, would say, hey, we're working on this, but our estimated time is for 4.3. So that leaves people, with... People blew up when he said something, like he said 4.3 and we'll say it's 4.1. He said, yeah, we can't fix this until 4.3 and currently it's 4.1, and everybody blew up saying, oh, we're going to wait this long? That's not how you do it. And I think I even tweeted out something along those lines of saying, how about you say this? And then shortly after, and I'm not saying it was because of me, but shortly after, there was a dev post that said, hey, we're working on this.
Right.
Our plans to try to get it fixed, but later on, our ultimate goal is for 4.3 or something along those lines. So they can communicate without giving facts and still give back to the community what they're asking for, at least some hope in this area or that area or whatever else. I don't know why they're so rigid in the communication that they put out to people, but it's a little sad, to be honest.
Shell's speculation from last week was that it was a management directive, and that's why they literally have handcuffs on.
Yes.
As far as this goes, we don't know
again,
that, but
and that's why I don't blame. I'm not necessarily calling Musco out or anybody else. I don't know their constraints, and it could be because of management. And somebody just Hawk said in chat, they have been a lot better lately with the streams that they've been doing, and that's been nice. But they really could do a better job. I do believe without promising. You can give information without promising timelines. That is possible because companies do it all the time.
And personally, I think, yes, you get internet drama when stuff like this happens. You have to delay announcement by a few days. Just ride the wave. It's really not that big a deal.
Anyone
who's getting back concerned about it is going to probably play it anyway. So it's just noise, and you can ignore noise.
And, the proof's in the pudding because we don't remember anything about last year about them delaying it. When you brought it up and they were saying, "Oh, we delayed, Shadow of Revan," I'm like, I don't necessarily remember that. And now that we went back and looked, I was like, oh yeah, I do remember that lull in information before Shadow of Revan where they weren't telling us anything at all. So yeah, up front it might be a problem, but later on, we're going to forget.
Exactly.
So they could play it off a lot better than they do. That's for sure.
Roger. All right.
Let's move on. Yep. Solidus writes, first time emailer to you guys here. Sorry for my bad grammar, but I just wanted to say or express how much I appreciate how entertaining your podcast is. Ever since I first watched it on YouTube, I've been binge listening OotiniCast from episode 218 to the latest, and it's been really enjoyable. I always listen every time I play SWTOR, and it's like listening to a radio show while doing something that you love, which is such a fantastic feeling. I also remember when I got my first shout-out in the chat room, and it was awesome. Great. Hope I pronounced your name right. I always love the intro with the quotes, tips of the week, force feedback, Silac Digest, and the Academy. In short, I love it all. Anyway, I'm hoping to get a tip in on the next episode. Just haven't thought of one that hasn't been said yet, but soon. I'm also a member of Utini Nights and Rage, and I want to give a shout out to Dread, Dekion, and Fiona for being good sports and inviting my alts into the guild. As a show of gratitude, I've been donating decos to the guild, hoping that someone would maybe decorate the guild stronghold and ship to 100%, because that would be awesome. Thanks again for the warm welcome, and may the Force serve us well. You're a fan from the Philippines, Solidus. Oh, cool, Philippines. Nice.
As far as the decorating goes, there is a bit of a problem giving out those gold keys, allowing people to decorate, because the interface is so crap. If BioWare fixed anything in terms of just quality of life, that would be it. Taking that interface and if you haven't used it yourself, if you're not a guild master who happens to own a couple of guild ships, the way it works is you just get the list of names unsorted. And the order that they sort them in is, whatever order they're presented in is probably what they just pulled straight out of the database. It's effectively random as best I can tell. Maybe it's based on character age or something. Anyway, if you want to find someone and you've got several hundred characters in your guild, good luck. And you only get about 8 characters per page. And you just have to do it. It's terrible. So anyway, that would be great.
Yeah,
to fix.
and Hawk brought up something about that later on in chat. He said that they need to show guilds some love, and I think they did do they opened up the guild a lot more. What did they go to, 1,000?
Yes.
What's the guild limit? Yeah, they opened up the guild limit to 1,000, but they really could show a lot more guild love. Would be nice to organize and to do things in game. Would open up a lot of people.
Agreed.
To do things more. Yeah.
All right. Jedi Zen writes, I love your podcast, and since I discovered it about a month ago, I've been listening to lots of old episodes, and I'm finally caught up and eagerly awaiting more. Just thought you and your audience, might be interested in something many players have missed. After Chapter 15 is complete, Dr. Agarob sends a message regarding attempts to reactivate Gemini Prime. He says that they used, quote, electromagnetic pulses, processor slicing, percussive maintenance, and so forth, end quote. By percussive maintenance, do you think he means banging on it? If so, that will become my new favorite way to describe fixing something. TV not working? Try percussive maintenance. I think you're absolutely right. Yes. I think it could be anything from banging on it with a fist or a boot to a hammer to actually using small explosives.
To BFH. I can describe that one.
Yeah.
But yes, that is a great phrase.
There is some clever writing in this game, no doubt.
Yes. All right, and Kuze, you wrote in, and I think you'd like to read and summarize this yourself. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to summarize because I hate reading my own stuff. So as I was driving to work one day, and I have the best ideas for some reason when I'm either in the shower or when I'm driving. I don't know if it's the quiet time or whatever. So I'm driving to work one day, and I had this idea about color crystals. And BioWare, for the longest time, there's a few issues with color crystals, and I'll just briefly go over some of the problems. BioWare wants to remove some of the stats from color crystals. The problem with that is that BioWare would have to either redistribute those stats or take those stats away and then adjust the rest of the game. But, it's only 41 points to a specific stat, so I don't necessarily know what they would do in that instance. But what it would do is it would take the option away from the character or from the player to redistribute stats within his gear, because that's a decision. And I'm going to harp on this again. Everything that they've said in the past is choices matter. And to me, it's not just story. Everything in the game, whether it be story or alternative advancement or stats or anything else, choices do matter. People like to have choices. And I believe that comes in with stats as well. So removing stats from a color crystal is one of the things that they've been wanting to do for a long time, but they don't necessarily know how to go about it, or just haven't had time to accomplish or to resolve that issue. So that's one of the problems. The other problem is that the variety of stats drives multiple crystals of the same color, but with different stats. So you might have a green-black with experience or expertise, and with endurance, and with crit, and everything else. So there's development in that they have to do for each cartel pack, and there's also the crafter has to have a laundry list of schematics. Okay, I'm going to make this color crystal that has 4 crit and it's green, and I'm going to make it 4 crit and it's power, and then I'm going to make it with 10 crit and it's crit, and it's so it's just a laundry list and clutter in the crafting window itself.
Right.
The other thing is, which somewhat bothers me, is the uniqueness of color crystals. So with the deluxe edition, there was I think it was orange black or something that they had, and originally with the deluxe edition, that's no longer relevant because there's a minuscule amount of stats on it. So therefore, what I paid for a long time ago is not relevant now, and it doesn't matter anymore because we've outgrown it. So my solution to all of this is for BioWare to remove stats from the color crystals, completely remove stats from the color crystals. They have the ability to evidently add enhancements to gear, and and I'll allude to later on is a good example is the weapons. They did a weapon tuning. They added a slot for weapon tuning. So evidently they're able to do this additional bonus to a piece of gear or element within your character page. So the first solution would be to remove stats from all crystals. The second one would be to condense all crafting schematics down to one color type. So I can make a green, I can make a purple, I can make a whatever else, and then get into the more complex things like I can make a black purple, I can make a yellow orange or whatever else along those lines. And with that, you'll have to BioWare will have to reevaluate the crafting mats themselves, because if you do take away stats from that, you'll have to reevaluate those tiers of crafting. So my mats that allowed me to make this low-level crystal with low-level stats will have to be applied to something else equivalent. So my idea for that would be to take a basic color and use basic mats for that. And the farther that you go up in complexity of color or uniqueness of color is you would go up in complexity or level of mats. So what is the latest tier 6 or whatever else, you would use that to make a really unique looking crystal. but only one color. There's no stats on it whatsoever. The second one would be for BioWare to add an enhancement slot to all crystals. So I have a yellow-black crystal right now. It has no stats on it, but it has a slot open for it for me to put something into that crystal. And that would be their way around of giving the player a choice to add certain stats to the crystal. Because currently we can add power, we can add crit, we can add endurance and expertise, and I believe that's the only ones that we can add. So what my proposal is that the crafter would be able to make a crystal enhancement that would allow you to add 41 power or 41 crit, and they can divide it up, or they can leave it all in artifice or whatever they want to do. But that adds a little more complexity to crafting, and a little more option to the players, and opens up things for the economy and everything else. At the same time, reducing all the
the crazy amount of clutter you get
because
from...
there's stuff that they have that they will never make. There's crystals that you will never make because they're absolutely useless.
There's no need for the +8 red crystal crit. No one's ever going to use it.
Exactly. Now, if they don't want to take the time to develop a new crystal enhancement, they could allow you to maybe use an augment slot in the crystal. And they'll have to retool the operations or whatever else they want to do, and player power and class power and everything else, class balance. But I think it would be more fun if they made a crystal enhancement that players were allowed to make.
So I kind of like this idea, and it kind of solves a problem or an issue that I think has been delaying them from making this change, because we've actually heard about them wanting to rip the stats off of crystals for 2-3 years now. It's been a while since they started saying, hey, we're thinking about getting rid of this. So so instead of having to figure out, okay, how are we gonna mush all the stats around, especially if you want crit, but hey, we just redistributed the stats on the gear, and it's and it has more power or whatever instead, then you're kind of SOL. That's an interesting idea, just to separate by separating the two. Then all of a sudden, you don't have to worry about having a million schematics, and yet you maintain the actual control over what sort of crystal you have, essentially.
And again, like you said, we give the choice back to the actual player, and again, that adds a small, very minute complexity to the game, which I think BioWare has left off. Even before Shadow of Revan, I do believe, and this is one of my biggest complaints, and it's not due to the loss of operations, it's due to the lack of choices for a lot of things, and a lack of neglect on a lot of other stuff other than story that has led a lot of people to leave. I mean, I would still be here regardless of story if there was a lot of alternative advancement, if I had more choices to do other things, if crafting was more complex, if the strongholds were more detailed and there was missions and stuff involved with that. So there's a lot of other things that they can do to keep people entertained other than Ops. I know that Ops retains a lot of people, or a certain part of the community, but you can't just let everything go and go straight to story. People do like choices, not just in story. And anyways, so we get back to adding like you said, separating. So I only want to be able to make one color, and also I want to be able to make an enhancement for that, for my crystal. And another good thing that it does is it opens up opportunity for the future for the same thing with augments, because augments have been progressive for a long time. They went from a low stat all the way up to where we are now, and then in the future, they can add in, if they did do a separate color crystal enhancement, instead of just 41 power now, maybe in the future we would be able to make a 51 power or 50 power or whatever else. So that, again, the more complexity that you add to your game, the more that it keeps people's minds engaged. And back to what Tio has said in the past about people searching for SWTOR questions and stuff like that, oh, what about these color crystals? I don't know anything about it. Let me search for it. And it gets people involved in the game more so just over some minute little aspect of color crystal enhancements. What do I need to do? Oh, I better go look at theory crafting or whatever else. And yes, currently I think power is more important or actually, is crit more important now than power? It's been a while since I've been messed around. Yes, theory crafting eventually will come to a certain apex where you have to have all of the stuff to be top level. So that's what you're going to do regardless, and it's not necessarily going to give you a choice if you're one of the high-end players. But for all the rest of the people, there's still options to say, okay, do I need crit? Do I need power? And then if I have to Google it, then I'm reading about it. Then I'm into the forums, and I'm reading about this. And I'm in Dolphy's site, or I'm in OotiniCast and everywhere else, and I'm listening to podcasts. It gets you more involved over something so minute. It's ridiculous, and they've lost that. And they need to bring the complexity back out of story. I don't care if you bring ops back. I would absolutely love it, but please bring back complexity in everything else. Bring back more datacrons that mean stuff. Bring back more crafting that's actually progressive. A lot of stuff that they have.
We sort of strayed away from complexity, but also the game has got easier. They have deliberately, you could say, dumbed it down. You could put it somewhat more diplomatically, but it is extremely easy now. And so that extra complexity, at least in terms of gameplay, doesn't really matter anymore. Right. At least for now. And they could always tune it back. In terms of your particular proposal, I sort of like the idea conceptually, but having an enhancement within an enhancement, so to speak, is probably completely outside the scope of anything they would ever do, because there's just no analog to it at the moment. What I actually think they should do to solve this problem is take the stats off the crystals, redistribute the plus 41 from those two slots across other tiers of gear, so you still make the decision the way you do now in terms of swapping out enhancements and mods and whatever, and just make the color crystal, just as the weapon tuning slot is now, purely cosmetic. Anyway, that would be, I think, while I like what you're saying, what I was just describing is the actual pragmatic, this is what they could actually do.
Yes. And again, I agree with you. That's the easiest path for them to take. But like you said, it's dumbing it down. And I think that's it has gone to the wayside of a phone app game. I feel like SWTOR has catered to people who love phone apps and the simplicity of that. And there's no more, hardcore anything. And again, it's not ops. It's not just hardcore ops or whatever else. They've made it easier for people, so they get through their content faster because that's what people say they want. But then they're bored. Sometimes, and I say this even against myself, sometimes you can't listen to me and you can't listen to the community. You have to do what you want to do. Unfortunately, they've listened to people, or at least they think they're catering to people and speeding things up, making things faster, making travel faster, making some of the systems faster, and at least people, I'm done with it, I'm bored, what am I doing next?
Exactly.
And the game has already been quick in the past, and they've just made it quick, even quicker. I don't know.
Some people are complaining that it's hard and time consuming because it is, and actually that's better long term. And if you just dumb it all the way down, you remove any reason to play.
If you're going to take complaints, it's to take it from the people who are saying that it's hard and I need, I'm having a difficult time getting through it, versus the people saying it's easy. Yeah.
All right, let's do Alex's question and wrap it.
Yes, Alex Mix Up Pixels wrote in our chat room. Question about the HK chapter. There was 1 week, sometime in May, where my subscription ended. I didn't miss any of the special dates, so I've got all the sub-rewards from then until now. Does this mean I get the HK chapter?
Wow, it really depends how they actually figure it out. I think you're okay, Alex. I think that if you were subbed on the 1st of each month, that's sufficient, but I don't know. And it just seems really unfair that anyone could get caught out like this, because like a credit card expires and you just forget to update it or whatever. And that seems really unfair. I mean, if you did miss out, I would just get onto customer support to enable it, and hopefully they can fix it, but I think you're probably okay.
Or the
I'd
issue
say just
with
wait and then see what happens.
Or the issue with the reoccurring payment page, which they've had in the past, which they still do, I believe, is your credit card. You got a new credit card, you go into the system and you update your credit card, and everything is saying, okay, bill me when my next payment is due. And because your credit card number and changed and everything else, they won't bill you. Even though you specifically said, bill me on this date,
Yeah.
and you've given the new information, they won't.
Interesting.
And I've called customer service in the past, and I specifically asked that question. I said, "Hey, look, I had to update my credit card, and I lost subscription for a couple of days because you didn't bill me the way that you were supposed to, even though I updated my information and thought everything was going to process through as normal." And the customer service agent over the phone said, "No, you won't lose any benefits or anything else, and it'll just continue on as normal." So yeah, I really wish that they would kind of fix that, because people's credit cards get lost. You have to update them. You get the chip cards and everything else. It's a little weird that you can update your information, but they won't actually charge it come next payment.
Oh, and Drunken Dark Side podcast mentioned they also messed up PayPal for a while, which is certainly how I pay for my subscription. That was every 6 months. Looks like I may have missed out the window where it's screwed up. But again, so yes, if you do get caught out and thus miss out on the HK 55 chapter, I would talk to customer support and get that reversed. Hopefully it'll be okay for you, Alex, and anyone else who temporarily, unintentionally missed out on their being consistently subscribed.
Were there any other questions?
Well, I kind of have one more thing, because I
Sure.
want to make the podcast run as long as possible, specifically for Rub, because he likes long podcasts.
Yeah.
And I don't care if Tio has to edit it or not. No, just specifically. I see a lot of stuff on Twitter of people asking, what is the best server to be on for population? Because people, I see it looks like new player, they don't know where to go to. Or they say I'm on Jungmon, I've been on a PvP queue or a Flashpoint queue forever, and I can't get it to pop. Is this server dead? And it's sad that they've taken away that stuff.
I was going to say, it's a lot harder to tell nowadays.
It is, yeah. And I even see people say, because I follow the SWTOR subreddit, what is roleplay? I saw today is RP dead in SWTOR and everything else, and I can't believe they took that away. It's pretty bad. I would really wish they would consolidate, do the better than cross server, which I don't think is coming. It's just one of those things we like to meme, and it's fun, but yeah.
May talk about
it's a little sad because somebody actually had to ask on Twitter, where do I need to go to get people to play with?
Right. Well, let's just answer the question, though, that was raised. It's the Harbinger on the west coast of the US. If you're on the east coast, it's actually a toss-up between Shadowlands and Jedi Covenant. They're more or less the same, the two former PvE servers. Actually, Beggar and Colony has a surprising number of players, it would seem. If you're in the EU, it's pretty clearly for English speakers, the Red Eclipse is the place to be.
And if you're in Jedi Covenant, get out.
All right, then, that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live every Thursday now at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room, and thank you to Kuze.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
All right, guys, keep recording as per always. Everyone, thank you for watching. We will be
and let
back.
me say
Oh, yeah?
Let me
Go
change
on.
it. It's not Jedi Covenant. And if you're on Jung Ma, get out. So you'll have to edit that around, because it's not Jedi Covenant, it's Jung Ma.
Sure, Kuze, whatever you want.
That's what I'm here for, entertainment.
Yeah, and for giving me stuff to do, because I don't have enough, obviously. Anyway, we will be back next Thursday, and unless something changes, that will be pretty much it going forward. And yeah, hopefully it's not inconvenient for anyone. Maybe we'll get Evil on. I know he couldn't do Wednesdays, but maybe Thursdays.
Maybe you can do Thursday, yeah.
We'll be in touch. Alright, guys, thank you very much, and we will talk to you next week. See ya. May the Force be with you.
Later.